Mully and Haugh, Chicago Sports Radio 6-7 of the score. Brad Biggs, the football man of the Chicago Tribune, a long-time contributor to the station and a valued friend, and he joins us now on the Signature Bank Score Hotline. Signature Bank, making commercial banking personal. Biggsy!
Morning, Brad.
Morning, boys. What's going on?
Well, I mean, look, it was about as ugly as a game can be, and I think that as we pick it apart, there's some obvious things, such as the quarterback taking way too much punishment, and that's not a sustainable reality. But Brad, David kind of called the Matt Eberflus. Wait a minute, did you say he improved? What was your take on the quarterback in that game in terms of improvement or perception of that?
Yeah, I don't think you can look at what happened in the second half a week ago at Minnesota and what happened last night and say, yeah, there's good reason to feel better about him coming out of the game against Washington, because simply put, the production wasn't there. 7 points, and I realized they got into the red zone. They got into the red zone. I mean, two of those red zone trips. One was 64-yard run by Khalil Herbert. It wasn't like some quarterback created drive, and then the other was that wild 39-yard scramble by Justin there at the end, which was a phenomenal play by him. But I don't think having your quarterback drop back, make one read, and either let it go or pull the ball down and run it is sustainable. In fact, I know that that's not sustainable. And Montez Sweat told me that they were impressed. The Commanders' defense was impressed because Justin kept getting up, because they knew they were putting a hurting on him.
And he did. And, Brad, that's impressive. And that's why I think it's a little confusing, because you do want to show the respect that he earned by being a tough guy, by getting up.
But he's already proven he's tough. But not –
Brad, I know. That's the thing is that – so in doing that, people want to, I think, mask over some of the other things we saw. You've got to complete some of the passes he missed. You've got to see some of the things he didn't. And I think there are two things in play here. Respect his toughness, but be honest about what his shortcomings are.
Right. 14 of 27 is not going to get it done. He's really had a rough go of it in the red zone, where things get more compact, and it's more difficult for every quarterback. You talk about the first red zone trip, there's a low throw that goes off a defender's helmet. This isn't a deflected pass. Ball goes off the defender's helmet, leads to an interception by Jonathan Allen there. The second red zone trip, he's got a layup to Ryan Griffin, and he misses it. Right? Just terrible throw. And you're not going to get an easier touch pass in the game. And then I will say this, that Luke Getsy play call on 4th down and 1, where they ran Khalil Herbert into the middle of the Commanders' defensive line with Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen there. Like, that did not impress me. It certainly didn't fool Washington, and that thing got turned away. You gotta go with something different there. Try running to the edge. I can understand his hesitancy to want to throw the football there, but that was a head scratcher of a call to me. And then there at the end, I thought it was a second down throw to Mooney, I believe, that was deflected. I thought that was a walk-in touchdown for Mooney. Again, if he just kind of lofts it to him, you got the defender there, just kind of get the ball up in the air a little bit.
Brad, I don't know how to word this question, but I wondered if Velus Jones, when he was replaced as a kick returner, if that's because he seemed to kind of, and I don't want to say lose his nerve because that's far too hard a comment, but he was very tentative, I'd say, in that role, and they put Ebner back in. Was there? I mean, look, you can't fumble a punt twice in 3 weeks. You can't have a fourth quarter game-deciding moment that you blow twice in 3 weeks, and you can't let the ball bounce off your face mask at the most crucial point of the game.
Well, while you're on your knees.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
yeah.
He was going to the ground. I don't know that I've seen a ball go off a Bears returner's face mask since Leon Johnson in 2002 at Champaign against the Saints. You tend to recall those moments when you cover professional football. That was more than 20 years ago, but I distinctly remember it. At least Leon had a bit of an excuse. It was a heck of a sunny day at Memorial Stadium, and there's no excuse for Velus Jones. There's no excuse for the Bears to continue with him in that punt returner role for the time being. Like, I think you let the guy have a chance in the future, but they can't put him back there next Monday night at New England and expect different results, right? And you wonder if there's a misevaluation here. Okay, what did we hear when they drafted him about his how he's going to excel as a returner? Well, why in his first 5 years of college football did he not return a single punt? Not one. Okay. Last year at Tennessee, they put him in that punt returner role, and I believe he had 18 returns, and he did really well, averaged 15.1, 15.2 return, and had one muff. I think he said it was against Ole Miss. But in the first 5 years of college football, he's not a punt returner, and he's going to be dynamic at it in the NFL, where you can't be dynamic if you don't secure the football.
Well, we're only 5 years away from removing that doubt for Velus Jones, so I think he's on his way. Look, Brad, the thing is that Velus Jones can't be put in that situation again against the Patriots. But by the same token, I don't know how you can trot out the same offensive line in 10 days. Matt Eberflus did sound after the game like he would reassess everything. What do you think that means?
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a vocal group out there that would love to see some changes on the O-line. I don't know what the changes are until Cody Whitehair is healthy. He's got at least 2 more games to miss on IR. I thought the guy who struggled the most last night by far was Braxton Jones. I asked, because I talked to Montez Sweat for a while after the game. Montez Sweat rocked Braxton Jones pretty good twice on that first Commanders possession.
Yeah.
And I asked Montez after the game, did you get chipped a whole lot? And he said, well, every once in a while, but anytime I wasn't, I expected to make a big play. That he knew he was in a mismatch against a rookie 5th-round draft pick. And Montez Sweat's been an okay pass rusher for Washington. He's not Chase Young, who's still out with an injury. So, they'll look at everything. I'd still be a little bit surprised. You just start moving parts on that O-line, and the guys that haven't been playing right now are probably not playing for a reason.
I wonder if Riley Reif, are they going to trade him for a 7th-round pick? I'm just saying, why not play that guy? That guy has played in the NFL. It just seems like this isn't working, Brad. And the threatening to move Lucas Patrick to center. I mean, what is going on with that guy? I'm not overly impressed with him either.
No, I haven't been blown away by what he's done so far. We saw just a very little bit of Riley Reif in preseason action. Yeah. Saw him in training camp. It didn't look good. Because you assumed the day he signed, right before camp, hey, here's this. They got the starting left tackle, right? I assumed it. I think you guys probably assumed it. I think most people out there did, and there was a reason he wasn't running with the ones for real long there. So I guess it's a possibility. Maybe if physically he's in a better place now, perhaps they could consider it. But the Bears are going to have two difficult preparations coming up because, Bill Belichick can put together stuff that Justin Fields hasn't dreamed of because that's what Bill Belichick can do to young quarterbacks. And New England's got some talent on that side of the ball. And then a short week to head down to Dallas, which defensively for Dan Quinn so far this season has been lights out. If you thought the Washington front could get after Dak Prescott a little bit in a road game, wait until you see if Micah Parsons is healthy and DeMarcus Lawrence and all those guys, they could make it for a rough ride for Fields and the offense.
Brad, as I said to you last night in the press box, and you kind of corrected me, but the defense I felt like played a very good game, 214 total yards, 2 of 11 on third downs. You reminded me that the Commanders were playing without some key starters and that they didn't have a guy who led them in touchdown receptions. So I think, where do you find that happy medium between being encouraged by what you saw but realizing who it was against?
Yeah, I thought, for starters, I think with Jalen Johnson coming back, they got a huge boost there, right? I thought the secondary played really well. And as a unit, when you can combine to do two things, first of all, be way better on third down. Okay, I've been knocking them for the third down defense. You got to give them credit. 2 for 11, Washington was on third down. When you can combine that with not allowing any real explosive plays, the longest play for Washington was 18 yards. That's going to be a heck of a night, and that is a recipe for success, because if your opponent can't convert third downs and can't get explosive plays, they're not going to score much. And Washington certainly wouldn't have gotten to 12 had Bayless not taken the punt off the face mask, setting the Commanders up with a 1st and goal at the 6. So the defense played better. Have to acknowledge that. But at the same time, you look at it and you say, man, Washington's been so bad on its offensive line from guard to guard. Why wasn't there more disruption for Carson Wentz? Why wasn't there a takeaway? You needed that game-changing play. That takeaway turned out the game-changing play is a muffed punt involving a rookie that's done it twice in 3 weeks.
The Bears always seem to be trailing at halftime. I mean, I think it's happened every game this year. Yeah. Why can't they, especially in a game where they had so many opportunities, what is it? Is there some mental block going on? I mean,
they're terrible offensively. I mean, they're only averaging with the Bears only averaging 15.5 points per game. Let's just say they're able to magically split that down the middle, and they're getting 7.25 a half, or 7.75 per half. Excuse me, I haven't had any sleep here, guys. The chances you're going to be trailing are pretty good, right? Your opponent's probably going to get to 10 in the NFL in the first half. So I think the biggest issue has been that the defense hasn't been great in the first half, but they're going to struggle to outscore opponents in whatever increment of time you use, just because they're the Bears right now.
All right, Brad, you know how it is in Chicago. You called it a weekly referendum in your 10 thoughts about the quarterback. And tell us how to evaluate this, because what we saw was a guy who doesn't have any time, whose toughness to respect, who is very special when he tucked and ran the ball 39 yards. Ron Rivera was talking about how Even he was impressed there. You can't
He was
have that.
pissed.
But
He was mad, though.
he was mad. But Brett, how do you balance all that with some of the things that aren't happening and some of the things that need to happen for him to develop as a NFL passer, not just a runner?
Well, yeah. The first thing I think is, like, you don't need to seek out, like, great declarations from the coach on a weekly basis regarding the quarterback, right? Like, it's like the bar has been set so low that the smallest thing that looks like, that's all right, is people want to slap a big orange sticker that says progress on it and move forward. Yeah, we're headed in the right direction. And I think the thing that I kind of come back to, if you're going to evaluate quarterback play, the quarterback is going to have to be able to operate from the pocket at a high level to even be considered as an upper echelon guy in the league, right? If the quarterback cannot do that, none of the other stuff is going to really matter in the long run, because it's going to be difficult to nearly impossible to make it. And so what we're struggling to see is that kind of pocket development. And I get it, the pass rush was on him last night, but there were also plays where it was one read and he was gone and there was time, right? And so, they're going to ultimately, Ryan Poles, Matt Eberflus, Luke Getsy, George McCaskey, everybody that's involved, they're going to take a look at a snapshot of the entire season, not one Sunday in early October in Minnesota, not a Thursday night at home against Washington, not next Monday at New England. They want to see the clear picture of the total season and hopefully see some growth along the way, but you're not going to take it from a step forward 1 week to 2 the next week to 3 after that. That's just completely unrealistic. And some of these things, like the pocket presence, like completion percentage, it's just not at an acceptable level right now, in my opinion.
All right, buddy, we'll let you go. I just have to ask you, was Tevin Jenkins benched? I couldn't figure out what happened. I heard
think
that
it
there
was a shoulder.
But then he came right back in when Lucas Patrick went to be checked for concussion, right?
Yeah, so I think they said he was questionable with a shoulder. Okay. They very briefly had Michael Schofield in there, and then when Jenkins was out and Patrick went down, you kind of saw Riley Reif trotting out there, and then I think they said, no, we don't want to look at that, and Jenkins came back into the game. Hopefully, with this mini bye this weekend, players will be off this weekend. The quarterback will feel better, right? He's sore, and he should be for how he toughed it out. And hopefully some of these offensive linemen that maybe got dinged up a little bit will be able to heal up as well as the rest of the guys.
Have a great weekend, Brad. Enjoy watching some football for a change, like real NFL games.
Thanks, Brad.
Have a great weekend, boys. Take care.